When you're working in Java, you know that speed is just, well, it's everything. Today, we're going to dig into Micronaut, a framework that was literally built from the ground up to make your microservices and serverless apps fire up in an instant. So, let's break down how it pulls that off.
All right, let's jump right in with a problem that, a lot of us Java developers have definitely felt. You build this awesome, super efficient microservice, but then you hit run, and you're just sitting there waiting. Why does that happen?
So, to really get why Micronaut even exists, we have to look at the whole shift to microservices. The frameworks that were amazing for these big, monolithic applications suddenly started to feel kind of clunky and slow in this new world of distributed systems.
Yeah, even these really powerful, established frameworks can feel like you're trying to start up a giant, heavy engine in a world that needs to move fast. They were designed for a totally different era, and their whole method of analyzing code when the app starts, well, that's what leads to the very things we're trying to get away from, those painfully slow startups and massive memory usage.
And this is where Micronaut just flips the script entirely. It doesn't try to work harder when your app starts up, it decides to work smarter before your app even runs, at compile time.
Okay, so here's the secret sauce. Compile time dependency injection. It's a bit of a mouthful, but the idea is simple. Instead of waiting for the app to launch to figure out how all the different parts connect, Micronaut does all of that heavy lifting up front when you're building the project. And that one little shift, it changes absolutely everything.
Here's a way to think about it. Traditional frameworks, it's like they get a box of IKEA furniture delivered every single time you start the app. They have to unpack it, find the instructions, and assemble everything right there on the spot. But Micronaut, it does all that assembly work beforehand. So when your app starts, the furniture's already built. It's just ready to use instantly. That's the real magic of ahead of time, or AOT compilation.
So, what does this actually get you? Well, it's pretty much a developer's dream list. Your applications launch in milliseconds, not seconds. They use way less memory, which in the cloud means you're literally saving money. This kind of efficiency makes Micronaut a perfect fit for things like serverless functions and auto-scaling microservices, where every millisecond of startup time counts.
Okay, so how does this actually stack up against the competition? Let's put Micronaut in the ring with the undisputed heavyweight champ, Spring Boot, and just see how they compare side by side.
Yeah, this table really tells the story of Micronaut's focus. You can see right away that key cloud-native features like service discovery with Eureka or Console and client-side load balancing, they're just built right in. Now, with Spring Boot, you can for sure do all this stuff, but you have to go in and explicitly configure it all, which means more setup and more boilerplate.
Now, when it comes to security, both are total pros, right? But they do go about it a little differently. Micronaut, for instance, gives you built-in support for modern things like JSON Web Tokens, or JWT, from the get-go. Spring Boot really flexes the power of its massive, mature ecosystem, with modules like WebFlux Security and some seriously deep OAuth 2 support. Honestly, the best choice here often just comes down to what your team already knows.
But, and this is a big but, here's where Spring Boot's long history really gives it an edge. That ecosystem is just huge. I mean, look at something like caching. Spring supports a massive range of providers right out of the box. Redis, Hazelcast, you name it. Micronaut is a bit more focused, with great support for popular choices like Caffeine and Redis, but it just doesn't have that same sheer breadth, at least not yet.
All right, so the theory is cool and all, but what about actually writing some code? How fast can you really go from absolutely nothing to a running application? Well, with Micronaut, the answer is, seriously, seconds.
It's honestly this simple. You use the Micronaut command line interface, the CLI, and you can spin up a new, fully configured project with just one command. It does all the tedious setup for you. You just install, create, and run. The whole point is to get you to the fun part. Writing your actual code as quickly as humanly possible.
And look at what you get, a simple Hello World controller. If you've ever used a modern Java framework before, this code should feel right at home. The @controller and @get annotations are clean, they're intuitive, and best of all, there's no crazy XML configuration or tons of boilerplate to fight with.
And get this, that tiny bit of code isn't just a simple web page. It's a full-on, surprisingly powerful REST service. As you can see here, it can serve up responses as JSON or even XML without you having to do anything extra. It's a core part of the Micronaut philosophy, give you sensible defaults and powerful features with almost zero configuration.
So, after all that, what's the bottom line? Let's just boil it all down. What are the key things you should walk away with, and why might you seriously consider Micronaut for your next project?
It's pretty clear, right?
Micronaut was built for the world we're developing in today. If you're building for the cloud and you need your apps to be lightning fast, super efficient, and easy to scale, well, this is a framework that was designed from day one to solve the problems that older frameworks just weren't thinking about.
And really, it all comes back to this one central, brilliant idea. This quote just nails it. The choice to do dependency injection at compile time, that's not just some minor technical detail, it's the engine that powers every single one of the benefits we've talked about today.
So we'll leave you with this one last thought to chew on. As our applications keep getting smaller and more spread out, doesn't it make sense that our frameworks should get smarter too? It's definitely something to think about the next time you're starting a new project. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.